Welcome back, everyone. This is Dave from Corn Productions here to talk about The X-Files, Season 2, Episode 4, titled Duane Barry. The episode's description reads as follows. A former FBI agent who claims he was abducted by aliens takes several people hostage, and Mulder agrees to be the negotiator. Written and directed by Chris Carter. The episode originally aired on October 14th, 1994. Before any further, I'll tell you a couple of things. One, this is not a sport-free podcast, so if you haven't watched the episode, I highly recommend you go and check it out, and then come back and give me a listen. Secondly, if you're listening to one of the platforms that this podcast is now available on, please follow and feel free to check out my YouTube channel, Corn Productions, where additional content can be discovered. If you're already on my YouTube channel, please like, share, and comment, and subscribe to my channel. So this was a pretty great episode. As good as The X-Files gets, really. Easily the best thing that Chris Carter ever did, given that he both wrote and directed this one. This is a tour de force for him. Indeed, this is Chris Carter's directorial debut. According to Wiki, being the first he had ever directed, David Nutter from the directing staff helped and tipped and showed him what to do. With Nutter's help, Chris Carter learned how to block entire scenes. When commenting on his experiences, Carter told that he sometimes followed Nutter's advice down to the letter. When directing the episode, Carter wanted to create a different level for the episode by focusing more on the performances given by the actors than the mechanical set designs. He declared that directing he learned about things he take for granted as a writer and producer that led to compromises for things Carter could not do on screen, and compared the episode to a stage play as most is set in a single place, the travel agency. During the filming of Barry's abduction, they had a film run out, which according to Carter gave us the scene a very eerie effect. Shooting that scene was a real test, according to Carter. Carter was pleased with the outcome, saying he was able to show viewers what he wanted out of the X-Files, which he felt was very successful. The visual effects crew had to hang a giant light over the house where Barry was being abducted. It took the course of 45 minutes to shoot the scene, and according to Carter, much teamwork was required to film that particular scene. As he puts it, he was actually forced to stay behind the camera to see the end results. For the experiments, Railsback was put in a plaster model of his back as he was lifted by a hydraulic device and had water squirted on his mouth for the dental drill. The episode was well received by the cast and crew of The X-Files. Producer J.P. Finn praised the episode, and Carter's director saying, "We were all pretty nervous doing that one because Carter was a new director. It turned out that he directed very well. It was a great script, a great cast, and he ended up directing a home run." One of the charming things about it was the end, where we had these alien heads placed on young children. It was so endearing to see them on the set between takes playing with Chris and everyone. Actor David Duchovny said of Carter's directing, "Chris came in meticulously prepared, which is his nature. I think his first episode was great." Carter himself has described it as one of his favorite episodes because it was a chance for me to do it all, and it came out in ways better than I imagined it would. And that is all from Wiki. And yeah, like I said, this was a very good episode. And like I've said before, in the future, when we do the revival series, I'm going to say the exact opposite of what I will say about these early episodes of Carter's efforts. In fact, I'm going to be spending quite a bit of time bashing him when we do the revival series, because in reality, all of the episodes that have his name on it in the revival basically sucked. But that's a discussion for a later time. We begin the episode in Virginia, 1985, late at night. A TV plays a movie, a dog drinks from its bowl, and Duane Barry's sleep is interrupted by aliens. I hate when that happens. As he's presumably being abducted, he screams. Credits. Barry is played by Steve Railsback, 93 credits for him. He's in 2 episodes of this series, this one and the very next. Chris Carter wrote the part of Duane Barry specifically for Steve Railsback, and he is very, very good. In fact, I would say he's right up there with Brad Dourif as one of the better guest stars that this series ever had, other than the side characters that are in quite a few episodes, but are not quite regulars. Present day, he's in an institution. His doctor is played by Frank Turner. This is his second appearance in the series. He was also Bev's abusive father in the original miniseries It. The doctor wants to give him a shot, but he manages to get the best of a guard, and now Barry has a gun. This little bit is a bit clunky, but it leads to a lot of good stuff, so I'll forgive it. Krycek finds Mulder at a pool wearing his famous Speedo. The Speedo was a tongue-in-cheek joke referenced in the Revival series. And yeah, this Speedo caused quite a bit of a stir online. I remember reading quite a bit about it. And it's not something that I appreciated for sure, but a lot of the female fandom did. And I'm sure some male ones did as well, but I was just not one of those people. He's told there's a hostage situation, and they want Mulder, because the person who's doing the abducting believes he's being abducted by aliens. Mulder meets Agent Kasdan, played by CCH Pounder, 144 credits for her, including a regular on The Shield, and NCIS New Orleans with Scott Bakula from Quantum Leap, the show that I regularly cover, and who I have now met twice. And actually, by the time this airs, I might meet him again. We are considering going down to his one-man stage play, Lincoln, in October, which will be well before this video drops. She was also in Psycho 4. She clearly doesn't believe in the UFO stories. Krycek asks what he can do, and he's sent for coffee. And I almost feel bad for him if he weren't a blood-sucking, murderous bastard who betrays everybody. But, at this point in the series, I don't know that. Mulder calls him and introduces himself. It soon becomes apparent that Duane is familiar with the playbook, which makes Mulder realize he's former FBI. Mulder says that they need to alter their approach, given that he is a former abductee, and he calls Scully and wants to know what happened to him. The lights go out. This wasn't anybody involved with this hostage situation. As a result of the lights going out, Duane Barry opens fire, and there is some injuries. So they prep to send Mulder in the guise of a medic. Kasdan wants him in and out, and not to let him believe that Mulder believes in him. Mulder goes in there and ignores all of what Kasdan said, and instead relates to him and tells him that he understands, and he starts talking about abductees' stories. He talks Duane into letting the hostages go, or at least one of them, which he ends up agreeing to, but in exchange for keeping Mulder instead. This does not end up pleasing Kasdan, of course. Mulder continues to go against the device and ends up relating to him and winning him over. Scully calls and talks to Krycek, revealing they need to get Mulder out of there because Duane is not who Mulder thinks he is. Mulder has gone as far as talking about his sister. He wants the other hostages let go, but Duane still wants to take the doctor to see the aliens. Scully enters and talks to Kasdan, and she says that he got shot in 1982 and began to act like Phineas Gage, a pathological liar. I believe that's the one that got hit by a railroad spike. Scully tells Mulder this new information over the headset, which of course Duane cannot hear. Mulder asks Duane how they find him. And Duane says a tracking device in his stomach, nose, etc., etc. Scully says he needs to resolve the situation because he could snap at any time. Mulder convinces him to let the women go. One of the women says she believes Duane on her way out, and this is what is known as Stockholm Syndrome. Though, at the same time, he does sound very convincing, so I can see where they might have actually believed his story. And from everything that we see, the story seems to be true. But there is some ambiguity to it. Duane starts getting heated with Mulder, and Mulder tells him he needs to lock the door because now things are getting to the point where he's becoming violent. So Mulder walks him straight into getting shot by a sniper to take him out. But of course, this is not a kill shot. Duane does not die here. Scully consoles him that he did the right thing, and he tells her that he believes in Duane Barry. Kasdan calls him down to the hospital and thanks him for putting it on the line. Mulder thought maybe he was called down there to get chewed out, which would not surprise me at all, because he went against every bit of advice that she gave him. As it turns out, they found pieces of metal in the X-ray, right where Duane Barry said they would be. Scully, who examines it, thinks it could be shrapnel, but Scully agrees to take it down to ballistics. Ballistics examines it and finds small markings. Scully at the grocery store, when the cashier isn't looking, she runs the device, or whatever this thing is, over the register, and the register ends up going completely nuts. And Scully ends up beating a hasty retreat, not acting suspicious on her way out the door at all. I had nothing to do with this. Not my fault. No idea what you're talking about. Anyway, Duane Barry, meanwhile, suddenly wakes up and sees aliens in his hospital room. Well, that's not always a good sign, which causes him to rip everything off. He takes out the guard. Again, these guys are really bad at their job, and escapes. And this is another person who's getting fired, much like the guy who let Duane Barry get out in the first place. Scully returns home and calls Mulder. She gets a voicemail about the strange occurrence at the grocery store, and then finds herself attacked by Duane Barry, who is outside her window in a very creepy scene. She looks out her window, and then there's Duane Barry peeking in as she calls for Mulder and cries for him. To be continued. This is the first episode to end To be continued. And CCH Pounder received an Emmy nomination for Outstanding Actress in a Drama Series for this role. Yeah, like I said, pretty good episode. The next one is just as good. Actually, I think it's not quite as good. This one is gold tier X-Files, whereas I think Ascension is more like, it's still very good. It's just not as good. Anyway, that's all I got for you for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you like this video and want to support the channel, there are a number of ways to do so. You can follow me on Twitter at Core Productions. You can join one of my Core Productions Facebook pages. You can buy something from the Core Productions store on Zazzle. You can buy me a copy. You can join my Core Productions membership for 99 cents a month. And of course, you can like, share, and comment on this video, as well as subscribing to my channel. This is Dave from Core Productions, signing off.